we know for a fact this kid's on the plane now, I think on the back of last night, and you're actually looking at that first 11 and thinking...
It felt like for the first time, and I'm not going to say ever, because that might be too strong a statement, it felt like I was watching a Portuguese or Brazilian midfield where they were rotating in a sort of... And I thought, do you know something? Mainoo, and when you say, is he a holding midfield player? The answer is yes and no.
Jay here, Stretford, Paddock, and like a modern-day Teddy Sheringham, I stepped off the bench to step into Adam McCullough's shoes and even Joe Smith's and make my debut at the overlap. And what a time to do it as well, because I was able to talk about the 4-3 win over Liverpool in the FA Cup quarter-final. So it was perfect timing, really. Able to chat to Jamie Carragher about that, rub his nose in it a little bit. Also, speak to Gary Neville about Erik ten Hag, about his future, and about whether Manchester United can still make Champions League football next season, and whether that is going to be what the manager needs to keep his job. Check out our chat.
How did you feel on the back of that game, and how do you think that it will affect the team going forward? Hence, you know, going to Old Trafford as well so quickly.
If we'd have lost to anyone else, I'd have been sitting on it all right. It's just because it's United, and I absolutely hate United. No offence, we've become friends.
That's not very nice.
No offence.
Rude if you didn't.
I just absolutely despise them, so it's just sit with me in a really bad way. The fact that they're able to stop us from going for that quadruple is just the worst thing of all the teams that could have done it. It's yous, and I know yous love the fact that yous were the ones that were able to do that for us, but I still feel like we can go on and win a treble now. I do. It's the jog treble, and it's not the proper one, but I wouldn't mind it. Clock walking. It is the jog.
Make sure we edit that. They'll be using that. Don't say that. Take that back. Jay, how do you think that will affect Manchester United sort of going forward? And also the young players. It was an unbelievable victory for you, wasn't it?
No, it was. I'm glad I'm still getting to talk about it, to be honest with you. I thought we might have moved on, but it was massive because going into that game, you feared the worst. There was a lot of pressure on the players, the manager as well. To lose at home to Liverpool, they were chasing that quadruple, would have been devastating. And it wasn't just the fact we won, it was the way we did it. I think with ten Hag, there's people sort of doubting him because of the results we've had. You've got Ineos waiting, are they going to back him or whatever? But he got his tactics right, he went for it, he brought on attacking players, he played it the right way, the way you'd want to win a game of football. The atmosphere was fantastic, and a few of the players, like the younger players, stepped up. Mainoo has been great anyway, he was fantastic. And then some of the fringe players like Anthony, Diallo, players we've not really seen much of this season, got the goals as well. And I think that it just gives him that little bit of an edge now where fans who maybe were doubting him, we've got something to look forward to. Because, I mean, I've always backed him anyway, but there's some that are going, is he the right guy? If you're looking forward to just a top 4 race or a top 5 race, it's nothing to look forward to, that as a fan.
I feel like of all the games I wanted us to lose, it probably would have been this one, as long as we don't get beaten.
It was the way we lost, wasn't it?
It was the way that we lost.
I think if we'd have lost on penalties, you'd have just gone, all right.
I think it was our fault, though. Like, I mean, all right, you did all right, but I honestly think...
We did all right.
You did all right, but I honestly think we lost that game. You didn't go and win it. We were poor. We switched off at times.
I'd say the opposite, because I think we went for it. If you look, we ended up the game with, like, Bruno Fernandes, Anthony, and I think the lower some... Not
Anthony scored against us.
In defence. He proper went for it, ten Hag. And I respected that, and I think that was the way to go about it. And he didn't try and play for penalties. And had he played for penalties, I wouldn't have blamed him because we've got a pretty bad record against Liverpool. And you think, okay, it's a bit of a lottery. But he didn't. He went for it, threw on a load of attackers, just kept going. I thought we'd lost it when Marcus missed that chance at the end. I thought that's going to come back to bite us. But
offside,
that belief. I was glad to hear that. I think I was relieved because I felt for him. But he kept going, got his goal, and obviously at the end, I've never seen anything like it. It was fantastic.
Where does the hate and despise come from?
You.
Where does it come from?
For United?
Yeah.
Are you messing? I hate you as much as I hate Everton.
I have said nothing.
Makes a change.
United in the last 12 years, sort of like 13 years, have not been sort of like a threat to Liverpool. It's almost like I thought you might have moved.
It's just integrated into you, though, isn't it? From
Yeah,
very
that's
young.
the way it should be.
I thought you might have moved on like him.
Gary, it's always been like that. When United winning titles and Liverpool weren't in it, we still hated them.
Oh no, my childhood was ruined. It's absolutely sort of like Liverpool won everything. So for me, it's quite obvious where it came
That's
from.
the way it should be. It's built in.
You still believe Man United can get top 4? You've always still had that belief. You the same, Jay?
Part of me feels like we could, because it's like no one wants it, and I mean, we're not that far away, and Villa will drop points, Spurs will drop points, but
so will you.
Gary like that. No, we will, yeah, we do, and the Fulham game was a shocker. I also thought the Spurs game as well at home, to take the lead twice and not win was just really frustrating.
The Fulham one was only 3 weeks ago, wasn't it? But it was like, it was a shocker, that one.
Yeah, no.
Luke, who are you more worried about, Manchester United or Spurs coming for that position?
I've been hurt by Man United a lot, last-minute goals my whole life, so that they sort of do worry me. And they always do it, don't they? You know, when Leicester were sort of, you know, after they won the league, they kept trying to get top four, and it was always like United that get in there. And no, I think it's us and Spurs. I think I can see United dropping more points than Villa.
Jay, how do you think Manchester United can get there? You're excited for the end of the season with the FA Cup obviously still to come.
I think it's going to be difficult because, like you say, we've got big games. We've got to play Arsenal. We've got to play Liverpool. We can't get a run together. Every time it looks like we turn the corner. I've been saying this since 2014, but you think we're going to turn a corner, then we'll lose at home to Fulham or whatever, or Bournemouth or whatever. We've had some pretty horrific results. So I'm kind of with Gary. I feel like it would take Villa or Spurs to almost implode and us to pick up that slack.
You said before you still back the manager. If the manager didn't get top four and City maybe beat you in the FA Cup final, would that be enough for the manager to stay?
For me, it would. I'd like to see him being given a chance under this new structure. I'd like to see him being given a chance with some of the players that he's had missing coming back in. Martinez is a big loss for us. I know every team has injuries, but we've had a lot of injuries this season. We've had no Luke Shaw for half a season. Mainoo, who we've seen since he's come back from injury, has been vital. He was missing for the first 20 games or whatever it was. So I just feel that if you are going to bring in a director of football, have Omar Barada's coming in who seems to, you know, have a good CV and knows about football, give the manager an opportunity. I'd give him one season, because this season's been a bit of a disaster, but he did well in his first season. And even this season, we're still in a cup semi-final, and we should beat Coventry, we should. And another final, so it's not, I know, famous last words, that'll get clipped off.
Could I ask you both about a story I saw yesterday? And the reason I mention it, it was because it come from Mark Ogden, who's obviously a Manchester United man. He mentioned something about Gary O'Neill.
Yeah, I saw that.
Did you see that? Or?
He said, though, it was weird because I read that, and it was not as manager, it was like as joining the coaching staff.
Gary O'Neill's not going to be a Premier League manager and go to Man United. I couldn't understand
There's been some. I mean, I said on Stick to Football last week. I mean, even Gareth, as well as Gareth's done with England, I'd never seen the fit between Gareth and Manchester United. I'd never seen the fit between Graham Potter and Manchester United, and that's been a sort of, if you like, strong rumour. I don't see the fit between Gary O'Neill and Manchester United. These are three.
What fit do you see?
I don't know. But what I'm saying is instinctively, as a fan of a club, when you're here and there,
yeah, I know
you feel it or you don't feel it. You just do. You make it feel. It's not a feeling I've had. I've not woke up thinking, well, I tell you what, I think that looks like a United manager.
Would you stick with Ten Hag then? If you've not got anyone that's... Because you remember, like with Van Gaal, Jose was there, wasn't he? And everyone was like, that's the obvious one. Jose can come in. I don't feel like there is an obvious one.
I'd like to see him kept, in the sense that, to be fair, I'm not quite sure at the moment when I look at sort of, let's say, for instance, let's say Klopp was on the market as an example, and you could get some sort of world-class manager that's...
He is on the market, isn't he?
Oh, yeah, he's on. You know
what I mean? Let's say someone like that. But everywhere I look, I just think to myself, we could end up with someone who's probably not as good as Erik ten Hag and got the pedigree of him, and he's actually got 2 years of experience. And the fact he's had that good first season, but he's experienced that difficulty, means that he should be better for it. Yeah. So I think that for me, I would like to see... I don't like the idea of him leaving and us bringing in sort of the names that have been suggested. I don't feel that doesn't feel right. I'd rather stick with Erik ten Hag and think, right, okay, let's just give him. I won't even say another year. I'd just say let's just actually give him, believe in him.
I'd say at least. I mean,
believe in him. You know what I mean? If he has another season like this, he's not going to obviously be there.
No.
But we could win the FA Cup and we could sneak into the Champions League through this fifth or something. No. If this place does get it, one of them two. I mean, they've got it in them to blow up Tottenham and Villa. They have. You have, haven't you? You've got it in you to sort of like wobble.
I was really impressed with him. I was worried when he got picked, not that he wouldn't do well, but he might get a bit of stick if he made a mistake or whatever. And I thought Southgate actually handled it really well. Giving him 15 minutes against Brazil made a lot of sense to me, just giving him that little cameo, did well in it. And then starting him against Belgium and getting player of the match, it just shows the talent of him and the maturity he's got. And I thought the midfield of him, Rice and Bellingham, just worked really well together.
The thing I loved about last night is, and I think before the game I was watching the people talking about him, and I think there's this thing being built that he's this like holding midfield player. I don't really see it. No. He looks like someone who he dribbles, he runs forward. So I don't actually think he is that, because there's talk that maybe United sort of maybe needs a holding midfield player. Casemiro might move on. I don't think he's that. I don't know what you think watching, but certainly last night, that thing where he just turned and he's just running at people centrally and he's all over the pitch. I mean, I thought that performance last night was sensational. I did, and sometimes you look at a young player, it feels like it happens every tournament. And we're talking about these March international breaks. It just feels like this time of the season, someone really young who you out of nowhere, just, you know, whether it was Rooney, whether it was Michael Owen, whether it was Bellingham a couple of years ago, they just go, we know for a fact this kid's on the plane now, I think on the back of last night. And you're actually looking at that first 11 and thinking, I mean, you don't want to get carried away on one game, but it's like, because there's no options in central midfield, really, he's strong. Definitely going. It's just whether he plays now.
He's definitely going. I mean, I think for me, the one thing that is absolutely in all of those players, like Michael Owen or Jude Bellingham, is temperament. From the first game, his first 3 games were away at, I think, Anfield, St James's Park and Goodison Park. You can't play at those grounds sometimes when you've got 50 games without having real difficulties, like sort of nervousness, anxious, going under. He literally, just in the first 3 games, he felt like he was at home. Last night when I was watching England play, and I don't know whether it'll be like that in the summer, you mentioned that 3 in midfield of Rice, Bellingham and Mainoo. It felt like for the first time, and I'm not going to say ever, because that might be too strong a statement, it felt like I was watching a Portuguese or Brazilian midfield where they were rotating in a sort of, and I thought, do you know something? Mainoo, and you say, is he a holding midfield player? The answer is yes and no.
He's not.
In the sense that when he actually goes back to defending his own box, his positions are fantastic, and his awareness of danger and runs into the box, and actually, to be fair, blocking pullbacks and things like that, it was incredible for a young player. But also last night when he there was a moment in the second half where Doku went past him, and he got back at Doku and took the ball off him. Do you remember? And then he went and slid in. You can't do that unless you... I used to think Owen Hargreaves could do that for Manchester United. Owen Hargreaves was a great tackler in midfield. He'd go and take the ball off people. He's got that about him where he goes and takes the ball off people. Because if me and you were playing against Doku and Doku was running out...
Once he's gone.
Once he's gone, we ain't getting back at him. And also, we drop off him to make sure that he's making pass it. He will go and think, I'm going to take the ball off Doku. There are very few players like that.